Thank you. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Natural Resources and Open Spaces Subcommittee. Today, Tuesday, April 7th, we have 7 bills before us today, and we will go ahead and get started with the Senator Seminaire show. Kristen, you want to begin? Or are you just
I actually have a bill
creating?
that's Senator Corderman,
You
the Maryland Heritage Areas
want to start?
Authority,
You want to start
Senate
with
Bill
that?
638.
Yeah.
Is that okay to start with?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I did send out, or Meredith sent out the reprint for this bill. Should we bring it up on the screen?
Yes, we can.
Meredith, are you able to do that? Do you need me to do that?
I got it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Okay, so this is Senate Bill 638, which relates to the Maryland Heritage Areas Authority funding and grants. It's also the cross-file to House Bill 654. Meredith, you could just scroll to the next page. So this is section 13-1113 of the Financial Institutions article, which relates to the procedures for the authority to award grants and loans. There's a departmental bill that passed from the Department of Planning that also modified this section. So the Senate sponsor submitted amendments to align these provisions to match the provisions in House Bill 638. So basically, the language now is allows the bill as it came in removed the funding cap for projects, and that's still being removed. And the language here is adding allowing the authority to require matching funds for grants or loans in whatever proportion the authority considers appropriate, and also to establish terms and conditions uh, for grants and loans. And so you can scroll down. This is the language being taken out is removing the funding cap and some related guidance just to provide some flexibility for the authority to award grants and loans. And you can go to the next page. So this is section 13-1114, which establishes the Maryland Heritage Areas Authority Financing Fund, which receives transferred program open space money. The change in this section is on the next page or just further down. Yeah, next page. So in G3, currently up to 10% of the funds that are transferred to the authority may be used for operating expenses. And this language is being changed to up to 7% or $600,000, whichever amount is greater. And this is due to the funding increase that is in the next section in the Natural Resources article, which relates to program on open space funding distributions. And so the bill came in, which would have repealed a set aside that goes to the Maryland, up to $300,000 that can go to the Maryland Historical Trust for non-capital historic preservation grants. We did receive an amendment to restore this funding authorization to Maryland Historical Trust. So that's what the brackets there are being stricken from the bill. So that language will be restored. And then the final piece is on the next page, I believe. And this is involving the increase. It increases an authorization of the state side of program open space funding from up to $3 million to up to $9 million of the state share can be transferred to the Maryland Heritage Areas Authority Financing Fund.
Thank you, Kristen. And thank you. I did wanted to clarify that the planning session, the Maryland Historical Trust section was put back in. So that was 16 through 24 was restored.
Yeah, actually, let me see the lines. Yeah.
Under
So
the
I'm
natural.
on page, so I'm looking at the third reader, Senate Bill 638.
Mm-hmm.
And
Page
that page
4.
4, lines 22 through 24.
Yes.
Okay.
Or really 16 through 24. All of that was restored, correct?
So there was a technical change. 16 that did not get taken out. There was a technical change to the
Got it.
tabulation, and that's just being restored to current law since nothing
Okay.
in that section is now being changed. It's just staying,
All the
as
same.
yeah.
Okay, including 22 through 24.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
provision that caused some heartburn, of course.
Okay, so we, just to be clear, there are no amendments.
So there are amendments. So the amendments so back to this first section of the bill, section 13-1113 on
13,
page
yeah.
2. So that came in with some modifications to the procedures for awarding grants and loans. There's a departmental bill that passed, and so
Oh,
this
yes,
section
I
is being
remember.
modified to align with the House Bill 238, which is already
Right, so lines 6 through 12 are the amendment.
yes.
Okay, I just want to clarify. Okay. Are any questions on this bill? Okay. Seeing none, can I have a motion to move the amendments?
I mean, we were shocked to find out.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there a
Second.
second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the amendments? All in favor of the amendments, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? I have a motion to move the bill as amended.
So move.
There's a
Second.
second. Thank you. Any discussion on the bill as amended? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition?
No.
Any abstention? No. Grammar is no. Thank you, Mr. Grammer. Okay. Bill passes. I'd like to move to amend HB 654 to the approved amended SB 638. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. HB 654 is the House version of SB 638. Any discussion? All in favor of amending HB 654 to SB 638, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstention? Bills moved and passed. So those bills will move together. Kristen, are you done now? Yes. Okay.
Yes, thank you. I'm done.
No problem. Thank you, Kristen, so much. Patrick.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can we start with the Center Seminaire show, please?
Yes, I assume we'll start with Senate Bill 21.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is the Maryland Golden Age Pass, excuse me, for persons 62 and older. It essentially codifies current practice of Department of Natural Resources, Park Service. It says that a holder of the Golden Age Pass is entitled to free day use entry to any state park, may camp overnight at one half the established fee on Sunday through Thursday. And that's different from current law, which is Monday, current statute, which is Monday. And then authorizes to launch a boat at any state park without paying a boat launch fee. And also, if a per vehicle fee is in effect for a park and one of the members is a holder of a Golden Age Pass, the entire vehicle can get in for free.
Ready. There any discussions on SB 21? Any concerns? Is there a motion to move the bill?
Move the bill, Madam Chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on SB 21? All in favor of SB 21, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? SB 21 moves favorably. SB 161.
Okay.
the state park entry fee exemption.
Okay, this bill authorizes an individual to enter a state park without paying if they present a quote unquote accepted entrance document by an individual, and that term is defined to include a veteran's ID card, driver's license, or other state issued license or ID card that indicates that the holder is a veteran. If you remember, the driver's license does have can have a veteran's notation on it.
Mhm.
Or any other form of ID accepted by the department that establishes veteran status or former National Guard status. If the holder was discharged under other than dishonorable conditions. Again, I believe this bill is also implementing current practice.
Yes, that is true. Thank you for that clarification. Many of these bills are codifying current DNR practices. Any questions about SB 161? Any concerns? Can I have a motion to move the bill?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of SB 161 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? 161 moves forward. Thank you, favorably. SB 199.
Okay. All right. There's currently individual with disabilities and service disabled veterans boating fund, which provides certain activities, sailing, boating, kayaking, canoeing, paddleboarding, surfing opportunities for individuals with disabilities and service disabled veterans. And all this bill does is define and authorize their eligible companions to be included in the activities under the fund. Eligible companion means an accompanying family member or direct support professional of the individual with disabilities or veteran. So instead of just the veteran, it could be the veteran and the eligible companion.
Right. Right. Any questions or concerns about SB 199? I appreciate the senator always looking out for veterans and certainly looking out for the disabilities community. So, see no questions, there a motion to move the bill?
Move the bill.
Is there a second? Thank you. All in favor of SB 199 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? The bill carries. Patrick, can we go to SB 480?
Sure.
And this is Senator McKay's Off-Highway Recreational Vehicle Recreation Oversight Board establishment. This bill came in last year at the pretty much the end of session, and so it is back, and we want to certainly support the senator in his endeavors here.
Yeah, yes, in this bill, like you said, I think it was a rules bill last year, but it's the recreation, it establishes and puts the membership in for the Off-Highway Recreational Vehicle Oversight Board to advise DNR on operation, acquisition, regulation, and general oversight of the trails and the recreation in the state.
I know, is DNR on the call actually?
I'm sorry?
DNR. I'm sorry. Let me go
Lydia's
to
on
the,
here somewhere.
yeah, can we go to the vice chair first and then I'll go to DNR?
Thank you. Yeah, I had a question. I think I maybe missed a hearing on this when I had a hearing across the street. So two questions, and this could be for Deputy Secretary Petito as well. First of all, is there a fiscal note on this bill? And second of all, is this something that we really need to do? It seems very specific in nature.
Well, first, there's no fiscal note.
No. I would argue we never need to do any bill, but you know, Assistant Secretary Petito.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Madam Vice Chair. I guess my answer to this is this is a group of stakeholders who historically have not had a seat at the proverbial table. And they were largely responsible for codifying a shift in funding from MDOT to DNR a number of years ago. We see this as sort of just checking in with them to say, here's what we're doing with the money that you helped happen, on the scale that doesn't give them the authority to approve or derail what we're doing. It's more of giving them insight. And the bill gives us the ability to sort of manage this at a pace that works for us, maybe quarterly as an example.
Okay, thank you for that information. Like I said, I just missed it. I'm not opposed to the bill, just trying to understand. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions on the bill? Any other concerns? The senator met with the chair and I post-session about this bill just to get some, I think to the vice chair's point, some clarifying information about the bill and its purpose. And so I think we both thought it was quite fine. Any other questions? Is there a motion to move the bill?
Move the bill.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition?
No.
No. Thank you, Delegate Grammer. Bill moves forward. Just making sure I record Grammer's no for my records. Okay. I'd like to go to SB 559. And this is Senator Bailey's Natural Resources Recreational Fishery Data Collection Program established. We will also be taking up HB 1535 at the same time. Patrick?
Yeah, I'm sorry. This bill establishes the recreational fisheries data collection program, all fisheries, I should mention. This is something that we've been trying to address for over a decade now. It seems Delegate Jacobs knows all that. Requires the program to establish a data collection program, and the program is to develop a data collection system for recreational anglers with all of the partners, federal, state, the like. And they're supposed to look to other states and subject to funding, enter into a contract for the development of the system, the data collection system.
Right.
And then submit a report to the committees, Triple E and us. And included in that report would be a work plan detailing development and implementation of the data collection system for recreational anglers.
Yeah.
And it sunsets after a year and a half.
Yeah. I would also say this expands on Delegate Jacobs' work, I believe, from 2022 HB 601, I believe. Is that right, Delegate Jacobs? And really, I think per the fiscal note, the Department of DNR intends to undertake research of other states' recreational fishing reporting programs to inform the potential development, of course, and implementation of a recreational fishing data collection system in the state, even if this bill were not here. So I just want to make sure that it seems like the legislature and the department are on the same page. Delegate Grammer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Generally, what's the purpose of the program? The data collection?
Generally, we don't have good data on recreational fisheries in the Chesapeake Bay in particular. And as the chair said, we've been trying for decades to try to find a way to do it. This is another attempt at it.
Yeah.
And what will we do with the data?
Well, manage the fishery.
Right.
And
So-
right now, we know the data from the commercial fisheries.
Right.
We do not know the data from the recreational fisheries, which is likely much more of the catch.
Okay, thank you.
And I would also say, the DNR makes decisions based on the information or the data just from the commercial. And just a couple of years ago, that up until recently, they can do some of that, for instance, electronically, some of it's by paper, but generally we're not always getting the full picture, and we don't have always everyone reporting the same way. Delegate Jacobs, did you want to add anything to this?
I think you two have done a good job with summarizing what the legislation is trying to do. We have incrementally gone along the way to get to this point, and I think the department, the electronic reporting portion of it has improved over the last decade. And I think the department wants to look at what the other states are doing, so we'll have more accurate data in making management decisions.
So for recreational fishers, that's a lot of different people. I would assume most people don't even know that it's there. Is it mandatory? Like, how does that work?
Right now, it's voluntary,
Mm-hmm.
or it's a MRIP where they walk up to your boat and say, "Hey, Cap, where you been today? How many fish did you catch?" Well, what's happening is in recent years, there's been a change in the commercial quota. This year's recreational season, they did a baseline realignment, which radically changed the recreational season this year. There will be no striped bass fishing in the Chesapeake Bay the entire month of August this year. So no one's going to be allowed to recreational fish the entire month of August this year. So, these are big decisions affecting a lot of people. And, my goal has always been to have accurate data when making these decisions. And we've left a big part of the fishery out for a lot of years. So this is just to have more comprehensive information when it comes to making these decisions, which affect a lot of people.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Does the department want to add anything?
You guys did a great job. I just want to add, for everyone's context, we also use the recreational fisheries also. The way we currently make management decisions is on morbidity. So that helps us address it. But like the delegate said, more data is great, and we'd love to. And we've already identified a PIN to help oversee this program. So we're looking forward to working with you all, and hopefully collecting some usable data going forward.
Okay. And just so I know, there are no amendments. It's just this bill as amended from the Senate.
Senate third reader, correct.
That's correct. Okay. Can I have a motion to move SB 559?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of SB 559, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No. Thank you. Any abstentions? The bill moves favorably.
And
I'd
you
like
want
to-
to move the House bill to amended.
Yes, sir. I'm doing that right now. Thank you. I'd like to move to amend HB 1535 in the same posture as SB 559. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Thank you. Both bills move. No grammar. Okay. All righty. SB 558. This has gotten a lot of conversation, but I think we have a path forward. We are missing a bill. That's fine. Never mind. SB 558. We've gotten a lot of information about this bill, including, and thank you for, I think Jim Mullen sent me the original agreement from 1996 that went in place in 1997 and then began funding officially in 1998. We did receive a letter from from MDOT as they sent to the Senate, I guess when this bill moved, that essentially they are committing on this MOU coming up that they're working on, $2.25 million beginning in FY 28, that was prescribed in the bill, and then additionally, of course, as budgeted, already in their budget, the 2 million a year from 2027 to 2031 FY seasons. So they want to show the commitment in the partnership. We have discussed the bill in length, given this letter of commitment and given that the MOU is moving forward, to move the bill, but striking, I believe, page 2, lines 25 through, I believe, 25 through 30. And then on page 3, striking lines 4 through 7, as it relates to this. So we codify the program in the natural resources article.
No, okay.
Yes, that's
We're
what the chair and I have discussed.
This is Senate Bill 558.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, you said page 3, lines.
I believe it's line 25, D. And I believe E, but we can discuss that, but definitely 25 through 28.
Are you looking at the third reader?
Yeah, but let me pull it up. Sorry. SB.
Patrick, do you have something you can share with us?
Not at the moment.
Yeah, I have the reprint right here.
Do you have the third reader for 558 to show?
I believe I did. There it is. 1, 2, 3. All righty. The third reader. That was right. Yes, in the system. What are you not seeing that I'm?
I think our line numbers are off a little bit.
Oh, okay. Okay, so looking at this.
We have Steve
Oh, I
McHenry
see.
line.
Here we go. So in the reprint, it is, well, that's not right either. The system doesn't have the bill with the second portion in it. Okay. All right. Online, it's line 25 through 28. In the system, the reprint doesn't include the second part where it's the seafood industry. So I'm going off, because I did see this, I'm going off of what's on the MGA website, because the same is not in the system. Would you like that pulled up, Patrick?
Yeah, whatever's on the NGA website for Senate Bill 558, third reader.
Okay, I can bring that up. Meredith, can you bring up SB 558 from the MGA website?
Yep, the third reader text.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, give me 1 second.
Okay, go down to page 2. go down, down, gives the purpose, go down to the bottom. There we go. So see, Patrick, 25 through 28, go back to the go back up slowly, go back up right here. Thank you. Oh, it's moving in back, just right here.
My scrolling is out of control. I don't know how to stop it. I really apologize.
Just move the cursor from the, there we go. Patrick, is yours not the same? Because this is what I have.
Okay, is that page 2?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Page 2, line 25 through 28.
Okay, you were going to strike that language?
Yes. The chair sent me the letter from MDOT last Thursday or Friday, talking about this particular provision in their MOU. And so the bill should establish, and we can discuss this, establishing the program, and the financing has been managed through the CTP.
Okay. And is that the only change?
So far, there's a whole second part here we have to get into, but we wanted to start here first.
Very good.
Having
I
the
wasn't aware of this change, so.
Sorry, the chair gave me this past weekend. Is DNR still on the call? If I can see.
Hey.
Here you go. Yes, so we received the letter last week from MDOT outlining the program, outlining to date what they have done, outlining fully restoring all $2 million in funding for FY 2026 for the oyster seeding program, consistent with the existing MOU. Noting that, of course, the MOU ends this year. MDOT and DNR are finalizing a new 5-year MOU beginning FY 27, stating that in 2027, it looks like there'll be the 2 million, but in 2028, beginning 2.25 million will be prescribed. That's prescribed in the bill would be administered during that fiscal year. And that they've already budgeted the 2 million a year for FY 2027 through FY 2031. Continuing its partnership with DNR. Lydia, that is correct or incorrect? Because we got this letter from MDOT on last week that the chair forwarded to me.
Yes, that's correct, Madam Chair. We have the 2027 fiscal year MOU already finalized for the 2 million, and then we're finalizing the new 5-year MOU. And I believe MDOT is also on the call as well. If she,
Oh, they are? Where? Who?
I think Nora's on.
Nora. Hi, Nora. Can you add anything to this, please?
Hi, yeah, you have the right of it, Madam Chair. FY 27 is a $2 million commitment that we had in the program already, just while we were finalizing the MOU. And then we are working to finalize the new MOU with DNR to kind of capture the spirit of the bill. So it'll be the 2.25 million for the next 4 years after, I suppose.
Okay. Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you. I would, if you could share that letter with us as well. I'm not sure, I did not receive that. That
It
would be
did.
just
It's in your-
helpful to have in the records. The
I'm sorry, Madam Vice Chair, can I
Mhm.
cut you off really quick? It is. We sent it
Okay.
before the meeting, and we can bring it up if you like right now.
If you sent it, it just hadn't made it all the way to me yet through my staff, so I'll look for it. But so if we are cutting the funding for this program,
We're not cutting the program. We're not cutting the money for the program.
okay, I'm still a little confused about what's happening between the MOU and so are we just cutting the funding source through the Transportation Trust Fund then?
No, the money, go ahead, Patrick.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I am confused. This is
Instead of
a little
putting it
convoluted.
in stone in statute, we're doing it through the MOU process, which is being finalized. Which Lydia just said has been finalized for 27 in the 4 years following their working through it. And this is a program that's been around since the mid-90s.
So how is this bill changing that program?
This bill seeks to codify a program that has been an MOU process since about 1997. That's what this bill is looking to do. The question is whether or not to actually add this money into the bill, as the chair and I discussed, versus having it through the amounts through the MOU process. So we want to definitely codify the program, but the money is a different discussion as it relates to that every 5 to 6 years they've had this MOU process that gives this money based on essentially port dredging. That is a formula. I think it's I just learned this through the old MOU. It's $1 per square acre of sediment pulled. So it's like no less than $1 million, no more than $3.5 million can be provided to this program through that process. And so the bill looks to codify the program.
Including that funding requirement that you just described.
I did, yep.
Okay.
You're on mute.
I'm sorry, Delegate Jacobs, then Grammer.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. Let's, so essentially, the bill, the way it was drafted and the way it was passed in the Senate, codified the 2.25 million, and it was Transportation Trust Fund money, but it codified that money, and it also had a provision that 1.5 million would go to the oyster restoration. And then when you started, let me see, I got to get to the right
The
page.
bill made provisions to ensure that the actual program is funded, and
Yes.
then the actual DNR would also have the funding to
Right.
do the program. I do understand, and this is not where I want to get into as far as conflict about how the money in the past has been used or has not been used. And I think this was a way to ensure that the money would be used appropriately, and that, for instance, it's not taken for other purposes other than the program.
Yeah, so that's what my question is. When you first started talking about striking the language on page 2, and you said 25 to 28, then you said page 3, 4 to 7. Is that still 4 to 7 is still struck from the bill?
That's correct.
So in other words,
The 1.5 includes the 2.2.
the 2.25 is the whole amount.
That's correct.
The way the bill was drafted was guaranteeing 1.5 went to oyster replenishment and propagation programs, and I believe 750,000
DNR.
went to DNR for
That's correct.
administrative purposes. So now that part is out of the bill also, about where it prescribes how the money will get split. Is that correct?
That is correct per the MOU.
So we don't know what the split will be.
So, and again, we can have this conversation, and DNR's on the call. You're going to have to defend yourself. Is that you're worried that DNR is not going to use the money given to them per this MOU, that they're not going to use the majority of this money on the Bay Enhancement Program.
Well, historically, the 2 million split has been 1.2 million went to DNR for administrative, et cetera, reasons, and between 800,000 went to the oyster industry. And that's what part of what this bill was trying to clarify was how that money was going to be split. So I'm just curious as if we go back to the old MOU, which is the way it's been since 1997, instead of codifying it through the budget, through the governor. I understand what you're saying there in this letter, but I'm just curious as to what would happen as far as that split goes, because that's an important part of the whole propagation issue.
Well, I would say that whoever is sitting at the table for the MOU needs to make those provisions clear about where the money goes and who the money goes to. Because remember, this is based off $2.25 million. And if FY28 is only going to be the $2.25 million per the MOU, and every year is going to be the 2 million, then I think you go back to the 1.2. Wouldn't that be so?
Well, that's confusing right there. The 2 million is for the 27, and then 28 under this new language
2.25 million.
goes to, starting in 28 goes to 2.25. Is that correct?
As I read the letter, it says beginning 2.25 million beginning in FY28,
Right.
described in the bill, and maximizes the amounts of funds going to the oyster. Additionally, they say MDOT has already budgeted the 2 million in FY27 and 2031. So that can be two things: is that just in FY28 is the 2.25 million, or they've increased it to 2.25 million beginning in 2028. And if Lydia or the Assistant Secretary can speak to that, I appreciate it.
So could I, while you get those on there, could we get clarification on that? And also,
But I would also say you also do have the letter. I did send the letter.
I do have the letter.
Yes. Okay.
And I understand it in 28 would change to 2.25 million.
Yes.
Going forward. And my other question is there anything in the MOU that addresses the split? Because it's not in this letter. You know, where it was 1.2 million went to DNR for administrative reasons, and then 800 went, between 7 and 8 went to the industry. So I'm just wondering what that split is going to be in the MOU, if I could.
Yes, Lydia.
Thank you. I did just want to clarify, and I know, has not been finalized yet, but I think that the idea was that we would closely align have language in the MOU to align the fact that what we plan to use the money for, similar to what the intention of the legislation was. And on top of that, I know we've in the past always submitted a work plan to MDOT to show what we're using the money for, but we're happy to make those public as well, just to give some additional transparency into the process as well.
Right, Lydia, but what he's specifically asking is that whether it's in the MOU or outlined in the work plan, is the split listed or spoken of?
I believe, and it's not finalized, so Nora, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that our intention is to have language in there that talks about that split. Correct, Nora? I don't
Yeah, that's correct. I think actually our letter does address this. It does note that we are working with DNR to ensure funds directly support replenishment and restoration relative to. Our understanding is that in the MOU negotiations, we'll be working to make sure that the amount going toward the actual replenishment is maximized relative to it.
Delegate Jacobs, the floor is still yours.
Yeah, I couldn't hear exactly what she said at the end.
You did sound muffled. Can you go one more time for us, Nora?
Yeah, sorry, I am left. So our letter does address right at the bottom. It says that we are working with DNR to ensure that the maximum amount possible will go to oyster replenishment relative to administrative costs. So in the MOU, I don't have precise language, but we are working to ensure that that split is addressed in some way so that the oyster replenishment program is seeing the maximum amount if possible relative to the administrative cost of the program.
Okay. Thank you, Nora. Delegate Jacobs, are you good?
Well,
Come back.
I wish it was more specific, but I understand.
Okay.
I'll come back with more questions later.
Yes, sir. Delegate Grammer and then Delegate Baker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So can we talk about historically how this was funded, how it relates to the dredging? I know it's
Yes.
coming from the Transportation Fund.
Yes. So back, I have this here. Is an agreement was made on the first day of September in 1996 between the Department of Transportation and the Department of Natural Resources. So they were committed to undertake the dredge material placement program to ensure the appropriate dredging of ship channels serving the port of Baltimore. So the program essentially was that the Department of Natural Resources and Department of Transportation agreed to create this program to enhance the bay and at the time sustain economic growth opportunities associated with bay resources. And so they implemented this oyster recovery program, what they called at the time, with additional funds. And the funds are a formula for every cubic yards of material placed in an open water site. $1 shall be provided for the oyster recovery program. And this has been, I guess, the formula ever since. It's essentially that this is based on that material. So then, for instance, circumstances, the amount provided in a given fiscal year cannot be greater than 3.5 million or less than $1 million. And then the formula goes on to talk about if there is an excess of 3.5 million, then there creates a credit. And if there's less, which usually there isn't, there's a deficit, and then they create additional formulas to address that. So, yeah. And it says that it's supposed to be transferred to the department no more year. I do want to say this original MOU, while it has gone on for a while, was set and begun in 96, 97, officially in 98, but essentially was set to, I guess, to terminate in 2002, but I don't know when or where. It just continued to extend, which I guess is a good thing. And I can understand the reason of why there's a desire to codify this, because really, according to this original document, the program should have ended in 2002. And so this has been kind of one of those ongoing department by department paper MOU to have essentially the port essentially pay this program for the sediment that's dredged, and then I think to a degree the sediment that ends up being thrown on potential oyster habitat. And so this is just a program to help create or fix some of the damages that dredging does to the to oysters.
And why was the Transportation Trust Fund used?
That is the one thing I don't see in this original document is who made the decision of what money where. So I don't know if Nora or Lydia or the Assistant Secretary has any handle on why the TTF is used.
Well, these are payments for transportation projects that cause damage on oyster habitat, mainly dredging, but.
So where's the source of funding other than just funds that come into the TTF via the normal mechanisms?
Well, it's from the TTF. I mean, that's the source of funding.
So in other words, like a tax on gas pays the funds that pays for this.
Partially.
Okay.
Whatever percentage it is of the TTF, yeah.
Yeah, and I recognize, that we're trying to make the oyster, resource whole, due to the impact of dredging in general. I just, if someone were to suggest on the floor that we take money from the TTF to do anything, there'd be a fight and a controversy. And not to diminish the importance of oysters or the community, but I almost wish there were a separate fund that was paid into and kind of protected. Because if we do this in future years, there could be hanky panky, you know what I mean? And on the other end of this is the person paying the gas tax. So I just wanted to try and account for that. Thank you.
Well, yeah, again, this goes back to those dredging projects, and dredging materials. So, which essentially I think goes into the fund, but is not necessarily pulled from the fund as it relates to the tax that we pay in gas.
Yeah, and if it were, for example, the port paying into a closed fund that were dedicated for this, I'd feel a lot more comfortable for that, but I don't think that's the case here.
I might have to slightly agree, but I'm gonna go back to Delegate Baker, and then we need to circle back with the departments to further answer Delegate Grammer's question. Delegate Baker.
Thank you there, Madam Chair. Yeah, I don't fully understand how the distribution of all of the funding is going to be distributed. And I hear a large amount of it going to administrative cost. So within those administrative cost monies, will this require new hires?
No, this is a program that they've already been doing since 1997.
Okay.
This has been an uncodified program that has been incurring since the agreement was made on September of 1996.
Okay, so they won't be hiring any new employees.
No, absolutely not, Delegate
Thank you.
Baker. Great question. DNR or MDOT before we go back to Delegate Jacobs.
Sure, I can take a stab
Thank
at this
you.
one. So to get into the nuances of the Transportation Trust Fund would probably take more time than we have in the next week. So just suffice it to say that right now this is coming from the TTF, in recognition that many transportation projects contribute to runoff sediment issues that we have in the bay. We've kind of taken the language in the bill and made it more broadly applied to all transportation projects, so as to not single out the port and to also recognize there's a lot of impacts that transportation does that accounts for the issues that we have in the bay. And so that creates a transportation nexus to be able to use the transportation funds for this MOU to go to the oyster project. So it's all coming from the TTF.
Delegate Grammer, does that help you a bit? Because I know that was a question you.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. And I guess my bigger point is like this program is not there because of runoff. This program is there because of dredging. So I know it's a little like OCD.
Yeah, it's all the same. I mean, it's everything goes into that fund. Everything goes in a fund. And if you're saying that you don't like a mixed salad, you prefer your eggs one way and the potatoes pulled to the side and the relish somewhere else, I get that, but it
Yeah.
is all mixed together.
Yeah, and I've been an appropriator, and I've been on both sides of like where does the money come from and where does it go to? And for me, if like we have this issue that's contributed to by dredging, the source of funding should come from that activity. You know what I mean? The TTF just kind of seems to be this big pool, and as a matter of policy making, it's super flexible. But from a matter of like appropriating, I just have a bit of an issue there. Thank you.
Well, I think to a degree it does because there's a formula. And the formula only allows that certain amount of money based on the dredge material. So to a degree, there is a specific formula and you're not getting any more from that formula. So I feel okay in that regard, but I certainly respectfully understand exactly what you're saying. But so thank you. Delegate Jacobs.
All right now. So let me first say that, the port generates a lot of commerce in the state of Maryland, generates a lot of funds for the state of Maryland. And this formula, as you indicated, is $1 a cubic yard. So some company is paid to do the dredging. every year, every single year of the main shipping channel that brings all the commerce into the state of Maryland and all the employees that work there. And this is remediation on damages done as a result of that dredging. So it's been long-lived. It's formula driven at $1 a cubic yard, has worked well for many years. The reason we got here to this conversation is because the contract was running out on the past MOU. So my one question at this point, Madam Chair, over the years with the MOU negotiations, the industry's always had a seat at the table in these negotiations, and I don't know if I don't see that in the MDOT letter. Of course, they want to go back to the MOU. I understand that. I'm just, for clarification, I'd like to understand whether, as this is still being developed, with the industry.
Well, the question is in the industry at the table? Nora, can you answer that?
As it always has been.
Were they at the table?
I mean, will they be at the table or going forward under this new MOU that you're proposing?
Oh, no, this MOU is strictly between DNR. I do believe that on the DNR side, once the MOU has been executed, they've worked heavily with industry. Lydia might be able to speak to that more, but as far as the negotiating power is just.
So this is basically the funding side of between MDOT and DNR.
That is correct.
So the industry having the seat, I need to talk to someone from the department then.
Department of Natural Resources.
Whoever's on here now, Lydia or
and the Assistant Secretary.
Yeah.
And thank you for the question, Delegate. I think, in the past, we have worked directly with the local oyster committees, and we would continue to engage with them in terms of what the money is actually being used for once we get it from MDOT through this MOU. So we're happy to continue engaging with you as well as the local leadership on this.
They've always had, they've always have to submit a business plan historically for all the projects. That's been part of the requirements throughout the years, but I just want to make sure that the industry has a seat at the table.
Fair enough.
From the MOU industry.
Okay. On that note, I'd like to go to this and hold this discussion and go to the second part of this bill that I think needs the discussion about the Maryland seafood industry financial assistance funds. I understand that there was a mistake made in this portion of the bill and that we need to remove a couple of lines as it relates to the state treasurer and the way the loan payments are made. Where's Patrick?
Yes. Excuse me. Yes, on page 3 of the third reader, Meredith, if we could bring that back up, lines 20 and 21, and the source of this is 22 and 23, excuse me. That Marbidco is a quasi-governmental unit. It is not a unit of state government. They handle their own funds, unlike most funds in the state, or funds that are in state government that are handled by the treasurer. The other Marbidco funds are the same way. They are not handled by the treasurer. That's going to be the same as the case here. That also applies on page 4 to lines 6 through 9. Page 3, line 22 and 23 says the state treasurer shall hold the fund separately and the controller shall account for the fund. Again, not applicable here. And then go to page 4. The state treasurer shall invest the money of the fund in the same manner as other state money. That's not necessary here. The state treasurer is not handling it. And then expenditures from the fund may be made only in accordance with the state budget. Again, not necessary. Marbidco is not a state entity. So
thank you. And so with that, I would move to strike lines 22 and 23 on page 3 and lines 6 through 9 on page 4.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any in opposition? Thank you.
Could you give me those numbers again, Madam Chair?
Yes, it's page 3, lines 22 and 23 is the state treasurer statement. Page 4, lines 6 through 9, the state treasurer shall invest, and then the expenditures from funding may be made are being struck from the.
10-4.
Thank you. And then I believe on page 3, between lines 26 and 27, there may need to be a word added. Is Steve McHenry on the call? Or Steve?
I can describe this before Steve comes on. If you
Yes,
want.
go ahead, please.
These are no-cost loans, no interest, no fees. So on line 26 on page 3, where it says the fund consists of fees and loan repayments, including interest. Well, there are no fees and interest, so we've replaced that with loan principal repayments. So that's what's going into the fund,
Right.
principal repayments. And Steve can correct me if necessary.
That is correct, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I move we add in line 26, the loan principal repayments.
Second, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions?
I'll oppose.
Thank you. Okay, so we have struck 22, 23. We added 26, removed the old 26 and 27. We've removed 6 through 9 on page 4. There is another provision that I'm not sure I agree with, but I want Mr. McHenry to speak to.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Just by way of background, the state budget has appropriated $2 million of general funds to support these no-cost loans being offered to the commercial oystermen later this summer, contingent on the passage of this bill. The Senate Budget and Tax Committee had actually been looking at a larger no-cost loan of $10,000 each, with a cost as high as $8 million, which assumed a larger percentage of the oystermen participating in the program. In conversation with DNR staff about a week and a half ago, they think that the ceiling for participation will be about 60%. And so and it could be a bit less than that, but we still don't have enough money with the $2 million. So of the several programs that Marbitco offers, 2 of them are actually statutorily created: our Oyster Shucking House Loan Program and our Waterman's Micro Loan Program. What we would like to do is temporarily take up to no more than $675,000 split between those 2 programs and bring it over and add that to the $2.5 million, which would allow us to increase the loan size from perhaps 3 to 4 million to as much as 3 to 4,000 to $5,000 to $6,000 each. So it would be a temporary transfer. Because this is statutorily created, we need your permission to do that. That's why we're bringing forward that amendment.
And thank you for the clarification, but I did have a question about, in one part that I've been reading, there was a question or a potential desire commitment to say that if this money is taken, even if it's taken on a one-time basis, that you'd have to pay it back to those programs.
Right, yeah, there's 2 ways you could do it. The amendment that I first offered would let us, if we thought we needed to keep the money, or some of that money in the new fund for, let's say, a blue catfish related project, you know how serious that ecologically is right now, we would have that option. The other option would just simply by date certain require us to repay that money say by June 30, 2028. So either works for us. Happy to go with however you want to deal with that.
And the other question I guess I had is, if there's so much money in these other accounts that you can transfer over, why isn't the money being used up?
Well, we're talking about a 12 to 18-month transfer. We're projecting out based on programmatic utilization, our ability to temporarily transfer those dollars over. We're going to need them, we think for sure in one program. And if it's your desire, we'll just take it all back and leave it right where it is once it comes back.
Okay, and then I had questions because I read the letter, and my math may not math, but it's 2675, $2,675,000.
Mhm.
If you included both those transfers, what is, again, and I'm trying to look back at my notes, what is the significance of that particular dollar? Because you said that it's 1,124 authorized oyster harvesters currently that there are, and all hold a TFL and have paid the required oyster season charge. But it says that DNR now believes that no more than about 60% of these watermen, 675, will be both eligible and interested in taking advantage of a no-cost loan opportunity this summer.
Right. That is sort of the maximum exposure we believe that we have to make loans. When the loan amounts were higher, we thought the exposure might be 70 to 75% of the watermen. We now believe, because of both the fact that the dollars to be offered will be less, but also based on testimony we heard last week from the waterman leadership, that that there might not be as much demand as we originally thought there might be. That would be the ceiling of the demand for the program, but it could be a little less. I mean, a 50% participation would be 562 watermen, for example. So
yeah, I saw that. But when you do the math, let's say all 675 did apply, right? I guess it's based on, I don't know if it's competitive or not. And then everybody was eligible, they'd get $2,962.96 a piece.
Right.
So, but if the average project is more, you're saying it's 3,000 to 4,500, but you can do 4,000 to 6,000. I mean, what does that essentially look like?
So that's the unknown, is what will the level of participation actually be once the program is offered. So, that's a judgment we'll have to make. We'll have a choice of either, do we have a sign up and then sort of award the funds based on the money available, or do we take a guess at what we think the participation rate will be and then move forward that way? So my board will have a decision to make about that. But I think, based on what we've been hearing over the last couple of weeks, that we can offer a loan with this additional $675,000 at the ready, right? It's ready to go if we need it. We could do about a $5,000 loan, assuming a 50% participation rate. That's where I think we are.
And then I guess my final question, and then other folks can ask question, is that you just can't do this with the $2 million that you've been given.
No. So we'd have to use other funds. And so this gives us somewhere to go to get them. And then if we're short, then we have to go somewhere else.
I guess I'm confused, because you said you don't know if everybody's going to bite at this. And so you need more, but it's only $675,000 more. You have 2 million and you're not sure if there'll be full participation. I guess I'm just not sure why 2 million to start isn't enough.
Well, we don't know, because we haven't offered the program yet. If you follow, we're sort of projecting.
I do follow. You haven't offered the program. You've gotten 2 million. You're saying that you want to give more for a program you haven't started yet. I'm just trying to follow.
Well, we're trying to provide, relief and recovery for these folks that have been hard hit by the market downturn.
Absolutely.
And We want to provide as much assistance as we can based on the resources that are available. We want to have that $675,000 in reserve on top of the 2 million. And that's how the math works there. And the question is, will we have a 60% participation? Will we have a 50% participation? For planning purposes, I don't think we can go any lower than 40%. So that's why you have those numbers in front of you.
Okay. I will open up the floor to others for questions. Delegate Holmes, then Delegate Jacobs.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm kind of confused as well in terms of if we don't know how many participants we're going to have, yet we want to ask for more money, maybe we should start with not throwing in the 675 and just using the 2.25 million and see how the program works.
2 million delegates.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
That was the other conversation.
Yeah. That's just, and maybe I'm sure that Delegate Jacobs has more insight to this, but I'm just listening to the numbers, and that's why I'm just making that comment, Madam Chair. Thank you.
No problem. Delegate Jacobs, please.
Thank you. We've had a lot of discussion about this in the last couple of weeks, three weeks probably, in Waterman's caucus meetings, and even Talbot County has raised some limited funds for some people in some really severe cases down there where they were losing their vehicles and couldn't pay their electric bill. They're going to, things of that nature. And so there's been this really small amount that's been used for really dire cases. So we kind of got a little bit of indication based on that. It's not statewide, but it is the biggest concentration of oystermen in the state is in Talbot County. So we kind of got a sense of the numbers. That's where it kind of came from on the estimates, to be honest with you. So, what they originally were looking for was a $10,000 loan. And because we were just not able to get the funding that we thought we were able to get, that's why it's at a much lower number. But I think realistically, these estimates are right in line where they should be, where we think they're going to be. And, a half a loaf of bread is better than no bread at all. That's the way I look at it. So I think this is a good start, in trying to help with, if you notice the media, the comments that have been in the media, that it's been one of the worst years, not because we don't have oysters, but because it's been an anomaly this year, really, what's happened this year. And hopefully, this can help fix what hopefully is a temporary situation, and going forward, we'll have a robust oyster year in the future. But right now there's a lot of people hurting. I think these numbers are in line, and I'm comfortable with it the way it is.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate your comments. The issue here is that this wasn't a regular amendment. This was an amendment that a voice brought to the table. So we have not had time to talk about it. This is why I'm talking about it now. And I still somewhat agree with my own opinion, unfortunately. And Delegate Holmes brought it up, is there was 2 million. And then when you came to the table, it's like, well, we can add this other stuff in here for a program that doesn't yet exist, and yet one that I would certainly agree and not disagree is needed. And so, if it's rather than, I don't know if, and this is something Patrick can or Mr. McHenry can clarify, is that do you need legislation to provide a specific amount, or to say that you can actually transfer amounts? Because I would be more comfortable in knowing that you can transfer what you need and not transfer a bulk, and then you actually don't need the money at all because you just launched a program that you haven't been able to get all the money out for.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I think, and Steve can correct me, I think the intent is that as Delegate Jacobs said, we don't know necessarily how much some of the projects will cost, and we don't know the
Fair.
participation. So that if there's 40% participation on projects that cost less than anticipated, even if they had the authority, they would probably never need to transfer the money. And if there was 60% participation, in some, projects that cost as anticipated, then there may be a need to transfer the
Sure.
money.
I don't disagree with that. I guess it's because there has been no program and that this would be a first. This is almost like a test to see. And again, I don't want anyone to be stuck. And I do see that the amendment really talks about a temporary transfer. And I think the amendment language says up to. And so again, maybe we can play with those numbers a bit, but again, it's just there has been no program to date. I do want a program. I don't not want this community to recover, but the money is interesting, and we're probably going to hold this as well and work out some things in the background with Mr. McHenry. Delegate Jacobs.
Well, the other thing in creating this account, Madam Chair, is that if we do happen to get any federal funding,
Absolutely.
Now
That's
you-
not an issue. We're not going to not create.
that it would that program would be able to distribute that with very little difficulty. And we don't know for sure. We did get one response that they're still looking at. The Department of Commerce is still looking at some of the numbers that were supplied by DNR, and they may require additional information. So we haven't got a no answer yet, but we don't have a yes answer either. So
Yeah, no, Delegate Jacobs, I want to be clear that the intent is not to not create the program. We are just talking about the amendment. It was a voice amendment that Mr. McHenry brought to the table. That's the main thing that we're discussing now. There's no issue with the program. The issue or the challenge that we're trying to get through is the desire for additional funding for a program that's been funded at 2 million that we don't necessarily understand why it would need more money. And I understand, but it's just it's not pulling together for me. But I want to be I'm certainly sensitive, and I want to make sure we support the community as much as possible. Delegate Grammer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Very briefly, I just wanted to say if we're going to work on this one a little more, it would make me feel a lot more comfortable, whether we do it or not, if we had a dedicated fund. That way, if there's future federal funds, that can come right to the dedicated fund as opposed to federal
Yes,
funds.
this bill creates that. This bill creates a dedicated fund. And I'm sorry if I'm creating any confusion. The gentleman came to the table with a voice amendment about transferring monies from legislatively created funds that programs that Marbico has, and he's looking to make a transfer from those programs to this established program that
Gotcha.
we're trying to. Yeah, so that is just
Okay.
the question. Did I do that right, Mr. McHenry?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
Madam Chair, and let me color the conversation this way. Without the 675 potentially available, the maximum loan amount, realistically speaking, is between $3,000 and $4,000. With that 675 in reserve, the maximum loan amounts really are between $4,500 and $6,000, depending on what we think the participation level is going to be. So we're trying to up the dollars that we can loan to the suffering oystermen.
Got it. Delegate Grammer, you have something else to say? No, good. Okay. Well, thank you all so much. We're going to work more on this so that it is tight and we get it out the door sooner versus later, not trying to hold this up and certainly not trying to kill anything, but we want to make sure this is wrapped up in a bow, giving other moving parts, like for instance, the first part with the MDOT MOU, whether or not we do need to specify the money. I don't think we do in the bill, but I think we do need to specify and create the program. And for the second part of the bill, we do need to create this program. It has been funded by 2 million. We just have to discuss the parameters around this additional funding. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank
Second.
you. See you all soon.
Bye.